G'day folks, Tim here, 032 Racing. Welcome to the shed. We are getting the Civic ready for an event tomorrow up at Marulan on the Southern Highlands of New South Wales, a place called Pheasant Wood. Just basically an inter-club small car championship, but it's our first event for 2021. Kind of excited. Just thought I'd walk you through the garage and show you what we're doing to get ready for an event. Just me today. Sometimes my 18-year-old son Max will help, and my 14-year-old daughter Millie is also keen to help as well. But all me today, so a couple of quiet shandies in the shed while we're playing with the car. So start with a fairly comprehensive list, just to tick it off through the thing. So water level of the radiator, I had a little bit of not overheating, but certainly got hot at the last event at Sydney Motorsport Park. So just got to check the basics there. So under the bonnet is our high-tech race engine, dirty as hell. Leaking more than the Exxon Valdez at the moment. There's a few gaskets that need updating and changing. So that's a B18C. So that's from a Integra Type R. I think it's a DC2 for you Honda nerds. Got a little bit of crushing on the extractors and things like that. So this is a bit of a work in progress. It's I suppose it's a budget V modification battle. You want to make sure that you can spend your money in the wisest places. So speaking of spending money, the distributor here, the big black box right in the middle, is going to get deleted in favour of what's called a coil-over plug conversion kit. Did spend a bit of money with a mob in the States called Burton Racing. Really nice guys, sort of Midwest of the US. Emailed them one night and they just, we've been chatting ever since. Really lovely guys that know their stuff. So what that does, basically, we delete that, you use a couple of the parts, you change those into a coil-over style from a more modern Honda engine, change the plugs to the opposite type. Then that basically talks to the Honda ECU through the firewall, which sits under the passenger side of the car. It's more of a high turbo kind of application thing. It basically sort of smooths out ignition and makes ignition more reliable, but it's a pretty good way of making this thing bulletproof, and that's what we want. We want it to, open the door and the light comes on. We want this thing to run nice and hard, put it away wet without spending oodles of money on it. We can make more horsepower, or we can spend more, which costs a lot more money. So it's all a bit of a balancing act. Radiator, that's probably going to go. We're going to look at putting in a full length radiator here. You can see it's a half width, and it does okay. It gets warm, but yeah, it's surprising. But basically, that means that you can get a lot of airflow through to the engine without a radiator in the way. We're theorising with my mate Justin, who helps us out at ClubRacer Engineering. Big props to those guys. Look them up on Facebook. How we work our fan. How we actually might run a switch into the cabin to make sure that works better. A little goofy thing that I got with the car. Removed the headlight, and that will feed more cold air into the filter. So there's also a mesh hole there, so it gets plenty of air into the radiator. Probably a bit of drag as well, but I don't really have this is not a time attack car, so aerodynamics are not super important. What else are we on today? Pressured up the Yokohamas. These are the tyres that run in the Improved Production series. I've bought some secondhand ones to get on the track, and I reckon I've got a little bit more in them. I was going to switch them out. I've got a set of Hankook RS4s over in the corner there under the bikes. For this event, they're kind of similar, but I think I'll stay on this tyre just to learn it as well. They are a bigger tyre. You can kind of see the bagging, the back there, it just fits in. There's not a lot of scraping, and because Marulan is quite a short track and there's not a lot of load in terms of speeds and load on the car, it shouldn't be too bad. What else are we on today? Oh yeah, this is cool. Now, I'm a bit of a happy amateur when it comes to this kind of stuff. I've played with push bikes for a while, but when you can do little things to save yourself a few bucks and to make stuff a little bit better, it's always a good feeling. So we had to remove the ignition barrel, etc., to get this thing through CAM's logbook process, or what are they called, Motor Racing Australia? No, Motorsport Australia processing. So, but what happened then is all of the mounts to have this nice and rigid disappeared. So what I did, quite chuffed with myself actually, I had a little bit of I think it's fake carbon fiber rod from another project, an eBay special. And so what I did, you can get under here, you can just see there, see a little bit of carbon fiber in the middle of the shot. So I cut some rods up. You've got to be careful with real carbon fiber. It's quite you know, it's almost like asbestos in some ways, so you've got to be careful when you cut it. So wear a mask and gloves and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, just kind of nipped up a couple of spaces, put them in here, drilled them properly. My best screws from the collection of stuff that's in the kitchen, and worked a treat. Look at that. Nice and rigid. I can still use the indicators, all that kind of stuff. I have to leave a lot of this dash. You'll see a lot of race cars, they've got really cool dashes and stuff, but because we race improved production, we need to keep a little bit of trim inside the car. So, and don't tell the specs, but we really should have a little bit of trim on the rear three-quarter as well, but we don't. So, yeah, if you don't tell anybody, I won't either. But the car's, you know, the car's the spec, so that's all good. But the dash, you know, missing quite a few bits, but it's still there. Also, really bodgy mount for the AIM track, or the AIM lap timer. Now that is about 20 years old, that lap timer, but when guys like Jordan Cox, who races in the TCR series and also helps us look after the suspension on our car, when he's got a couple stashed in his shed and he really rates them, and I think this cost me $100 second hand, then it's good enough for me. So a wire runs up to a beacon that sits on the back of the roll cage over there, and then it actually doesn't work off the track. You know, there's metal strips in the track that read timing for typical transponders. You actually got to put a beacon beside the track, but we made it work at Eastern Creek, and that was all good. So what else am I going to show you inside the car? Oh yeah, we played with the seat, and I've got actually, that's a bit of a project that's ongoing. So this is an XXL Velo seat made in Adelaide, so an Aussie product, but there is a problem. Basically when I sit in the car, my head sits over the top of the seat too far, so it sort of compromises everything else that you use in terms of your harnesses and your harness device. So having to shop around now to find a seat that is a bit taller. It's certainly wide enough, probably too wide actually, even for me, with a 38-inch waist. It's an XXL seat, and probably just a smidge too big, so that will be deleted. What else did we play with? Oh yeah, we played with the angle of the attack on the seat. You can change the way the seat feels. Basically, you can go in there, see with the Allen keys, you've got different slots, and I've actually tipped the seat back one slot. It's all about the little things, actually, how the car feels. So by doing that, the back of the seat is now further back, which gives me more distance to the steering wheel, and to the pedal. So my legs are nice and straight, and I'm sort of 187 centimeters, so 6'3", nearly 6'4", and in the tiny little Honda. So that actually makes a whole pile of difference. Added a new drink system, so just a basic mountain bike stainless steel cage that we've tapped in to the body, and just runs a cable. Little nifty thing here. One of the systems I had a magnet, so I can just leave it there and it keeps it out of the way. That's about all I can show you. So that's a bit of a run through of what we've achieved today. Hopefully tomorrow will be a good day. We're not out to break world records. We just want to get a bit of testing in. We'll change a few, maybe a bit of ride height or stuff like that on the tyre. Just have a fun day, basically. Look, any questions I can answer for you, please feel free to comment below. Like to thank ClubRacer Engineering. Justin McMahon has done a marvelous job helping us out to this point, and the effort that he puts in is really appreciated. And thanks to John Boston and to Jordan Cox as well for their help and assistance. Joe Lenthal, who sold us tyres nice and cheap, and one of the leading lights of the improved production racing in New South Wales. So that's our Honda. We'll keep you updated tomorrow on how we go. Any questions, let us know. Thanks for tuning in.